We actually had another lesbian couple of friends of ours who were going through the same thing. We actually picked the same donor.
Oh,
and like,
God.
it was just by chance that we were talking about it. And they're like, yeah, we were going to pick this one, but then we changed our mind. I was like, oh my God, hold up. This is like a new thing that we need to talk about between like friends who are getting pregnant at the same time. Like, there's a lot more hormones involved, which is a wild ride.
So I've heard.
Yeah. And God love my wife for that. It sent us into therapy for sure. Anybody who...
Hey guys, we just wanted to say that our hearts go out to everybody who has been affected by these fires in LA. We are both Los Angeles natives and we have grown up in this beautiful city. So it is near and dear to us. And we are really heartbroken about everything that has happened in the past 2 weeks and everybody that has been affected by it and all the homes that have been lost. So we just wanted to say that, you know, though we have seen the tragedy that the wildfires has caused, we wanted to also share that we hope that this brings a little bit of joy and lightness and happiness to your lives, even though we're going through something so tragic at this moment in time. So I hope that you enjoy this episode. Hey guys, welcome back to the Let's Say More podcast. I am Solange.
I'm Ava.
And today we have a special podcast episode for you guys. We actually have some special guests. We have sitting with us today, Amanda. Say hi, Amanda. This is your camera.
Oh, hi.
And then that's our everybody camera.
Hi, everybody.
You don't have to say hi to that one because that's just me.
All right.
We are going to be chit-chatting today about IVF and your journey with IVF and having a baby and all that good stuff. Her wife, Jackie, who I've known for, I don't even know, over 20 years, is here as well. We're going to have you guys swap for the second half of this, and we're going to chit-chat with Jackie about being a supportive partner to Amanda and her pregnancy and what that's been like for her, because at this current moment, you are carrying a baby.
Baby number 2.
Baby number 2. And baby number 2 has a different DNA, right?
It
has
does, yeah.
Jackie's embryo.
Yep.
Oh, very nice.
Jackie baby.
That's a Jackie baby.
So do you have different cravings?
Yes. I would say 100%. It's so weird. The first trimester. So Jackie loves like diner food and chicken fried steak and
Jack in the Box.
Jack in the Box and like all of these. And I don't really crave those things. But first trimester, all of them. I wanted diner food. What else was it? Like Jack in the Box all the time. Just the baby's made of Diet Coke and Jack in the Box.
Oh my God. Have you craved a cigarette yet?
The baby may have.
The baby's going to come out smoking.
The baby.
It's like Diet Coke and nicotine.
Diet Coke and nicotine for the baby. Oh my God. That's hilarious. So we're going to start off by asking you to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you met Jackie and basically your relationship. Now you guys are married now.
Yes.
You've been married for how long?
6 years.
Oh,
I think
okay.
we just had our 6-year anniversary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds about right.
Yeah, 2018. We've been together, like 9. It'll be 9 in April. when we're
9
together.
years.
Yeah.
You've been together 9 years. You've been married 6.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet?
So we met actually on OkCupid back in
Online
2018.
We've been trying
Online.
to get somebody who did online dating
Yes,
to tell us about it.
Yeah, so we were kind of both in similar, well, you know how like lesbian circles are, right? So
yeah.
I was in the Woodland Hills lesbian circle, and it's difficult to find someone who hasn't been with someone that you've been with, right?
Yes.
When you're in those circles. So I was like, online dating, I'm single, let's do it. I'm not looking for anything. I just want to meet different people than what I've been hanging out with. Not to say those girls were lovely, but you got to branch out.
But you don't want to date. You don't want to date them. You don't want to marry them,
right? And so I signed up for OkCupid. I was on there for a month or so, and I was having a great time going to Dinah, doing all the things like being single.
Dinah Shore.
I know.
That was fun.
I've only been once.
Oh, that was great.
Me as well. Oh. The short, the like 4-month period where I was like, I'm gonna live it up. I'm gonna do my life. Wasn't looking for anything serious, just really looking to meet people and hang out and figure out what I wanted to do. Because I was like getting into my late 20s. Went online, saw Jackie. I guess she'll tell you her story, but she had just put up the profile, and we were talking and chatting probably for like 3 weeks before we met up and stuff. And that we went to Figueroa Mountain Brewing Company and sat there, was talking, and I am somewhat of an introvert, and she's an extrovert. So she like really carried the conversation for us, and I was obsessed. From that point forward, after that date, I had just wanted to see Jackie, and then like in true lesbian fashion, it was like every day. And I'm like, do you want to?
Yeah. Do you want to move in?
Live with me in my studio apartment, please?
I'll bring the
Come be
U-Haul.
with me.
Yeah. I totally can see Jackie rolling up with the U-Haul
Or like
with
a truck.
with her pickup truck.
Yeah,
She had a pickup truck.
Yeah. We were spending a lot of time together. I think there were maybe like a handful of days during the week where we weren't at each other's houses. The moving in part didn't happen for like 6 months.
Oh,
That's still
that's pretty
in
good.
the time frame.
That's
It's
in
less
the
than a
time
year.
frame.
It's less than a year.
Oh, it's definitely less. We were engaged a little over a year.
Yeah, lesbians.
And I bought, but technically we bought a house.
Yeah, remember, what's hers is yours, and what's yours is yours.
Yes, correct. Yes. Jackie was thrilled with the the relationship.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we bought a house like 10 months in, something like that. I mean, yeah.
And then baby talk came how soon after that?
10 and a half months after.
After.
I want you to have my baby.
Yeah. Serious baby talk, like how are we going to afford IVF? How are we going to do all that stuff? Well, we got through buying the house, and then we got through the wedding, which
was beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
It was in Big
wildly
Sur.
expensive.
I went to that.
Where was the wedding?
In Big Sur.
Oh,
It was beautiful. In this beautiful home. It was beautiful. It really was absolutely
Big
beautiful.
Sur.
Wildly expensive.
Yeah.
And then I would say pretty quickly after, because I got married at 30, and I was like, I don't.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
My first wedding.
Oh, you're planning on having a second
Who
one?
knows? I will at some point.
I mean, I'm here for it.
I'm open to getting married again.
I need someone to get married soon. I want to go to a wedding.
I don't know about soon.
Well,
like tomorrow,
I just want to
but
go
you
to
know.
a wedding.
In 6 months.
But
Under a year.
maybe in 6 months.
Lesbian time.
Yeah, lesbian time.
6
months?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Summertime wedding.
Summertime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after we finished paying off the wedding and doing all of that, we're like, okay, so how are we going to afford this? Because insurance didn't cover anything. I think that's changing now.
It's supposed to
It's
change.
supposed to be changing, which is incredible and
Yeah,
amazing
IVF.
for people.
It's going to cover all of IVF now.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Like across the board.
But you guys were in a unique situation because Jackie worked for a medical company, right? Like she worked for Kaiser, a hospital. So she had some coverage, right?
Some coverage with the IUIs, not with the IVF.
Okay. So can you explain to us what the differences are? What is IVF? What is IUI? And what are the options for people that don't know what any of this is?
Yeah. So IUI is the interuterine insemination.
Okay.
So it's basically where they take the washed sperm, so like the best of the swimmers, and they insert it directly into your uterus during your timed cycle. So they give you hormones, they time your cycle, do all of that stuff. And so essentially it's as close as you can get to a natural cycle. There's no like extraction. There's no like ICSI happening with the fertilization of the egg. It kind of happens, or supposed to happen like naturally.
So would this be as close to the term like a turkey baster?
Yes.
As you would get? Okay.
Yeah. So IUI you can do in an office. IUI you can, I don't know if it's technically called IUI when you do it at home.
With
it's
the
like
turkey
the turkey
baster.
baster, yeah. But essentially it's the same thing. You buy the washed vial of sperm, or if you want to go the other route, you can have a friend or something like that. But essentially, yeah, it's just inseminating the sperm directly into the uterus is what the IUI is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then IVF is?
IVF is in vitro fertilization.
Okay.
So IVF is kind of twofold. It does not include the transfer, which is actually putting the fertilized egg into the uterus. So that's a completely separate cost, which a lot of people don't think about.
People think IVF is encompassing everything.
Yeah, it's Technically not. So when you hear about people going through like multiple rounds of IVF, it's because they didn't have a successful egg retrieval. Or their eggs didn't fertilize the way that they wanted them to. Or when they did the DNA testing, the eggs weren't viable or something like that. Or there was something wrong with the eggs or the embryos at that point. With IVF, there's a lot more hormones involved, which is a wild ride.
So I've heard.
Yeah. And God love my wife for that. It sent us into therapy for sure. And anybody who, you know, is going through this, know that you're not in a unique situation if your relationship is struggling during the hormonal phase.
Why did you choose to go the IVF route rather than the IUI route?
Well, actually, we did do the IUI route.
Oh, you did do it?
Yeah.
Because that was actually covered
That was covered through Kaiser.
Kaiser. Okay.
So I guess we could kind of just start at the beginning of all of it if you guys want to go through it. So we finally decided, okay, we're going to have a baby. We figured out how we were going to finance it. Luckily, we both have like FSAs available. And then I had enough in my 401k that we could like take out a loan and like get it all covered. And so then we started with the sperm selection, which is a very it is a unique experience. I'll tell you what. You think people have opinion on baby names? Let me tell you the opinions that they have on sperm donors.
Did you ask your family? Or like friends?
Like some people. And we actually had another lesbian couple of friends of ours who were going through the same thing. We actually picked the same donor. And like, it was just by chance that we were talking about it. And they're like, yeah, we were going to pick this one, but then we changed our mind. I was like, oh my God, hold up. This is like a new thing that we need to talk about between like friends who are getting pregnant at the same time. Like, we have to talk about each other's donors.
So
they would have been siblings.
No, not would have been. They are siblings.
They would have. If they didn't pick the same donor. Yeah, they ended up going a different direction.
I thought they did. Okay.
And that donor didn't end up working out. So anyway, and each one of these are like between $1,000 and $1,500 a pop. Like a vial.
The vial.
The vial.
Just the vial.
Just the vial.
Oh
and
my God.
they tell you...
Talk about liquid gold.
Wild.
And men just waste it every day.
So,
well, they're not wasting it if it feels good.
Oh, that's true.
So after you kind of go through it, and it took us 6 months to at least agree on a donor. And it took us even longer before that to agree on a company that we wanted to go with, because there's companies all over. But the entire like industry of like IVF and, infertility or fertility is wildly unregulated. Like, it's...
Yeah. I watched that documentary.
Yeah.
Me too.
I mean, the guy with like 1,000 kids or whatever.
The guy with 1,000 kids.
Yeah.
That was wild.
That shit is crazy.
Yeah. So it's definitely not as regulated as it probably should be, especially with like the sperm donation and things like that. So going through and picking a company that you feel comfortable with is important. So the one that we ended up going with was California Cryo. We had a couple other friends go with a few different ones. But we liked the location of California Cryobank and everything that they did with the donors. So all of the screening, all of the genetic testing. And I think about it like everything, because you can filter too of like what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So you can filter by degree, you can filter by height, you can filter by eye color, you can filter by like all of these things. And so I do think about it often, how like people just randomly get pregnant with someone like they find attractive.
Yeah.
Or they met at a bar.
To
have a one-night stand.
And I'm like, you don't have a full report of his genetic history?
You don't know if his mother had blue eyes or green eyes?
Yeah. It's wild. So we liked the amount of information that you could get. We also liked that you could see baby pictures and adult pictures. That is imperative.
Yes.
Pay the extra money to see the adult pictures, because I kid you not, some of the most gorgeous kids, cutest little babes, you see the adult pictures and I'm like, damn.
You're like, nah,
what happened?
Especially with men.
Especially with men.
Especially with men. Men, children do not look anything like adult men.
Nothing. So we paid the extra money, went through that whole process. then about 6 months later, we agreed on a donor. We really, really liked them. There were a few things that stuck out. They have to write like essays and things like that.
Yeah.
And they have to do voice interviews and stuff. So you can hear what they sound like. You can see what their education level is. And through their writing style, you can kind of see like the one we picked was like a little sarcastic and kind of like.
Oh, like Jackie.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
perfect.
so we, yeah. So we really liked him. Started that journey. I think we bought 6 vials.
Okay.
Because that's all he had left.
So you just snatched them all up.
He was a
Yeah.
popular one.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like you don't ever know if they're going to be donating again.
Right.
So you can sign up and say, hey, notify us if vials become available. And so that could happen in 2 ways. They donate again or someone sells their vials back.
Okay.
Because you can do that as well. Like,
Okay.
Like with our current donor, we have, I don't know, 4 or 5 vials left.
Could you sell them to other people?
We could sell them back to Cryobank.
But you can't give them to somebody else.
I'm
Like,
sure we
let's say
could.
you had a friend who
You
wanted.
could donate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you could donate it. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know what the paperwork would be on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you could donate it. Or you can have it destroyed.
Okay.
We got that and then went through the whole thing through Kaiser to start the IUI process.
Okay.
At first we did unmedicated rounds, and I think we did 3 of those. And then we did 1 medicated round. So
What does that mean,
yeah,
medicated?
medicated. So the difference is that you're still taking some medication when you're doing the regular IUI because you're kind of trying to time your cycle. It's the equivalent of like birth control.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just so they can time your cycle and make sure everything's good. The medicated, I can't remember the name of the medication actually, but essentially it makes you release and mature like not just 1, not just 2, like a whole bunch of eggs.
Oh.
And so I think at any given point in time, I dropped like 4 or 5 eggs into that round. And so the issue with that is you could have potentially 1 or more eggs fertilized. And
Oh, you see, you can have more than one baby.
yes, but that poses like a really interesting thing that people don't talk about because then you have to start having these conversations of, okay, if it's more than 2, maybe it becomes 3 or 4, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now you have to have the conversation of, okay, you're going to have to terminate 1 or more of these pregnancies to make it safe for you if that happens. So thankfully it never happened to us. We never had to make that choice. But that, it's something that you never think about when you're doing that. Yeah, that was definitely, I think the whole fertility journey brings out a lot of interesting questions that you have to answer with your partner and like see where you both feel about it. And it's things that you can't really talk to other people about, especially like your parents, like my parents anyway, people who have never had to go through this process. And it can feel really isolating sometimes to...
It sounds like it. Yeah.
But that's why it's good to pick a partner that goes through it with you and is there by your side. So Jackie, I'm sure, held it down.
She did. I mean, it's a little jarring, especially when you're on the hormones and stuff, because you can react any kind of way with it. Like for me, when I'm on estrogen, I'm a raging bitch. And I'm like a pretty nice person for the most part. And I'm just like raging. It makes me angry on the inside. Everything makes me angry. All the little
poor
things.
Jackie.
Yeah.
She probably had to do her own therapy every day.
She's like, every time she had to do an injection, she's like,
no, she
saying her Hail Marys.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's what it totally was like, I would say, for the first round of the IVF and going through that. We definitely learned a lot from the first one. I would say that the second round was way better because we did couples therapy. I did personal CBT therapy. Like, we worked on it and, But yeah, it's wild.
And
whereas,
all of this was just the ICU?
IUI?
IUI.
Okay.
Well, so the estrogen I didn't have to take till the IVF. So the IUI, we did about 4 unsuccessful cycles, 1 medicated.
Okay.
And I will say even without all of the hormones, the emotional toll that it takes during that 2-week wait period
Oh, yeah.
to see if it worked out.
Yeah.
And then the heartbreak that you feel when it doesn't work out. And it still costs money. Like, even though we did it through Kaiser and they covered the transfer fee or the insemination fee, it still costs money because you're burning through these vials, you know, and sometimes you burn through 1, 2, 3 vials because they're doing, you know, inseminations a couple times or like, you know, for a couple days. You go through this feeling of like maybe something's wrong with you, something's wrong with your body. And that those feelings are incredibly isolating because even though you have the most supportive partner, she was a wonderful partner, it's still you. Yeah. You know? Yeah. You're still feeling like I'm broken, something's wrong with me. And I think that's a universal feeling, whether you're a lesbian or a straight couple or whatever. So the heartbreak and the emotional toll it took after the IUIs was, I think, much harder for me than the IVF. So the IVF was hard in regards to the hormones and everything that it did to my body and, you know, all of that stuff. But I would say that the heartbreak that came with the IUIs was very hard.
Wow. Man. So, okay, so you guys did the IUIs, 4 tries, no success. Then did you take a break and then start doing IVF?
Yeah, I had to take a break because I was just not in a good mental state. And like, you have to, when you're doing all of this or you're trying to get pregnant or doing that, you still have to act like you're pregnant, right? For the most part, they're like, don't smoke, don't drink, don't do anything.
And all you want to do is have like a glass of something to take the edge off. You're like, oh my God.
Or for me, it's the other. It's, you know, an edible here or there, you know. But so, yeah, I had to take a break and kind of like recenter and before we started to try again, because it does also take you out of your body. Like, you're kind of in a fight with your body. You're like, you bitch. You know what I mean? Like, come on. We're a team. Yeah. And she's like, nah, we're not a team.
How long was the process of the IUI? Like, from, like, how many months did you go through it?
Yeah. So I think in total, here's the other kicker too. We started in April of 2020. Which was right in the pandemic. Oh, no. So we did all of the, or February. So we did all of the testing in February, got everything sorted. And then we had our vials by that point. We were getting ready. Pandemic hit. They're like, we don't know what this is. So a lot of the like protocols and everything, they're like, just wait. Let's wait like 4 or 5 months, see what's going to go on with this. And so we started actually back up. Our first IUI was like in August. Okay. I think. And so you can do an IUI cycle every month. Okay. So we did it every month. Yeah, after that. And then it was the holidays, and I'm like, I need a minute.
Yeah. You're like, I need to be in a good frame of mind for this. Yeah.
My friends, they did the IUI from the same California cryobank, and she, like, got pregnant like right away. They have 2 babies and both were IUI, and then they have a friend who did IUI too, and they thought they were going to have the same sperm donor. The same thing happened with you, and then they didn't, and then that woman did an IUI and it took right away. Yeah. It's interesting. Like we're so different.
Yeah. How are they young?
Now? How old are babies now?
When they did it, were they young?
No, they're our age. No, the babies are, I think, her oldest daughter is...
not the babies, the mamas. No. Like, they were in their 30s when they did it. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, too, is, like, the experience is unique, depending on where you're at. And the whole time, I just remember thinking when it was not working with the IUI, I'm like, I have been gaslit about fertility, okay? Man. I was told all of my teenage years and all of my, like, my teenage years, because I was only sleeping with women in my 20s, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But, like, you could get pregnant any second. One time you can get pregnant. Like it was so easy. Like, it's the easiest thing in the world. And then I had difficulty with it, and I'm like, this is bullshit. This is bullshit.
I could have been running around in my teens.
Just knocking them out.
Oh, you want to have sex? Let's go.
You want a baby? You want a baby?
No, or you could just have unprotected sex and it wouldn't matter because your parents put that fear in you that you were going to get pregnant.
That's true.
You could just been hoeing around.
You wouldn't have gotten pregnant.
And and you would have had a lot of stories to tell.
Oh,
like this one
man.
time, you know. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But, and then there's people who go through the IUI and it takes right
Yeah.
away. I have friends that has worked for.
Then they get pregnant just
Yeah.
by sneezing, like my
Yes.
cousin.
Oh, yes.
I have a friend like that too. Like anytime her husband looks at her and I'm like, God damn it, girl. Like, what? Like, I think we're going to start trying 3 weeks later. She's like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, what? It was wild. Okay. Good for you,
Oh
babe.
my
Good
God.
for you.
You know, and she's also in her late 30s too. And I'm like, good for you, babe.
It's crazy.
Like, amazing.
the hell?
So it really is like
Yeah.
individual
Yeah.
to the individual person.
Then when did you try the So you took a break during the holidays.
Yeah.
And then you guys started the IVF process.
Yes. So we started the IVF process probably the following spring. I can't remember the exact
Okay.
date. That's when you start the hormones. And you have to go through this whole process too, because at that stage, we had decided that we no longer wanted to work with Kaiser directly because with Kaiser, you have to go through so many IUIs. And I think we still had to do a couple more.
You had to go through the IUIs before they let you do the
Before
IVF?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I think it's 5 or something like that.
6.
6.
Your wife over there said 6.
It's 6. Yeah. And so just the emotional toll that the IUIs had
Yeah.
taken on me, I'm like, I can't do it.
You're like,
and
no,
I want
let's
someone.
just-
And then like Kaiser's wonderful.
Yeah.
Right. But we saw the main fertility doctor once on our intake.
Oh.
And then it was nurses and then it was other doctors
PAs,
or PAs
yeah.
or whomever. Because that's how they work. That's how the system works. And it's wonderful. But I would say for how I was feeling through the journey, it was much nicer to like get to know a doctor. And that's what I wanted.
And
I
they
wanted,
hold your hand through the process.
exactly.
Yeah.
And like they get to know you and they get to know your partner and they can help you guide through what is best for your circumstances. And so we decided that's what we wanted, that route we wanted to go. So then you have to go through the whole, let's find a fertility clinic. Okay, now we have to like interview or consult with these fertility clinics. And thing about the fertility clinics is you have to be located close to them because of the amount that you have to be in the office. It's like you have to go for checkups every other week, if not every week.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're checking your hormone levels.
Yeah.
They're checking, they're titrating the medications. They're doing all of
And
this
making
stuff.
sure you're not in that like ovulation phase. Because if you are, then you have to
But
come
does
in
it-
and.
Yeah, so they're very specific about it. So you
Yeah.
go through your consult phase, and then they're like, okay, this is wonderful. Are we all feeling good about it? We want to move forward. Call me on the first day of your next period. And then everything happens very quickly.
Then when you do have those office visits as frequent, do they charge you for each office visit or is it like a package?
Generally, it's a package.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So generally, it's a package. You know what it is going to be up front. Now, with each one of those packages comes like a certain number of visits, the numbers that they think there should be, and that gets adjusted depending on like your age, your weight, your lifestyle,
healthy you are.
healthy you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the package varies, and then you have the medication on top of it, and like any additional things. So like, if you get stuff outside of what is covered in the package, then those are like a la carte prices.
Yeah,
like if you
okay.
have to get additional ultrasounds because we're worried about one thing or the other, then you have to pay for it. But
Got it.
for the most part, for us, we didn't have to pay too much outside of the like what we were quoted.
Okay. And how many IVF cycles did you guys do?
So I ended up doing 1.5, we'll say.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah. So the first one that we did, the medication wasn't quite right for my body. So it did not, by the time we got to the point where like, okay, let's check out how many eggs are maturing. There wasn't enough eggs. There was like maybe 7. So the thing with how the eggs work, right? So you want as many eggs as possible because more than likely 50% are not going to be usable.
Yeah.
And then out of that 50%, you still have to go through the fertilization and see how many take. And then that always goes down. And then you go through the genetic testing and then that narrows it down. So like when Jackie did her IVF, I think she got 29 eggs, which is like,
Wow.
I'm like, you spawned. Okay?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like a wild amount of eggs.
Wow.
But in the end, she has PCOS.
Oh, so do I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys have a lot of eggs stored. They're just not great quality.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of them are old. in there.
A lot of them are old.
And then she ended up with, how many did you end up with?
At the end, 20, but we only tested 15.
So out of the 29 that she originally had, let's say harvested, right?
29 eggs. That is
Out
insane.
of 29 eggs.
29 eggs.
I'll be interested to see how many you have.
Oh, we'll probably have 30 eggs. People with PCOS tend to have a lot of fertility problems, like fertility issues. They can't get pregnant, or they get pregnant, but they're not viable pregnancies. And so, which from what I know from a lot of people that I've known that have had PCOS, they have to go through IVF in order to get pregnant. And it's multiple tries that they go through to get.
And it's because, same thing that happened with Jackie. She had 29 eggs, but at the end of the day, only 5 were viable.
But that's still
only
a lot.
5 embryos were viable. Yeah. Yeah.
Like 5 embryos at 36?
I think she was 36.
5 embryos at 36,
37.
that's really good.
Yeah. So whereas when I did it, the first round, so the first round, I ended up not having enough eggs. So we canceled the IVF portion because that's significantly more money. We turned it into a medicated IUI.
Okay.
So that was like the 5th IUI that I had done. And then the next month we did an IVF. They adjusted the medication. Everything worked out great.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I only ended up with 14 eggs extracted at 33.
And how many were viable?
7.
Oh, so, okay.
So you go through, it's 3 stages. So the extraction, you're like, okay, this is how many eggs we got. Okay, this is how many mature eggs we got. Okay, this is how many fertilized. Okay, this is how many out of the fertilization past genetic testing. And so at each stage, you lose a significant amount. So you could lose, up to 50. On average, it's like 50%.
Yeah,
if
you
you're
can
like
start
in good
with like
health
30 and then you end up with 1.
Absolutely. If
That's crazy.
depending on your health level,
Yeah.
your age, PCOS obviously plays a role in it and
Right.
things like that. And each person's different, but on average, they say about 50%. If like you're in normal, good health, nothing, you lose about 50% of what you harvest.
Wow.
I don't know if harvest is the right word.
We're gonna go with harvest.
We're going to go with
We're
harvest.
gonna go with
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, we're going with it.
Yeah.
So, okay. So then that whole process of which we'll say the cost of the IVF only. How much did you guys spend approximately on just the IVF?
For both of us?
No, just you.
Just me.
Just the first baby.
Just the first baby. Okay. So the full IVF cost for one full round of IVF was like 22.
Yeah, that's about what I
And
hear.
then we paid $3,500 for the transfer. So all in all, it was like 25. But we had already spent a lot of money on the first round of medication
Right.
of the canceled IUI. Luckily, we got to use some of that in the second round of IVF.
I hear that the medication is more expensive, the most expensive part of it all.
It is very expensive. Yeah. And it's wild with like these tiny little vials. You're like, you cost $300 a pop. But yeah, so the medication is crazy. I can't remember the exact breakdown of like what the doctor fees were versus like the medication. But all in all, I think I probably spent with the medication and the doctor fees for like the canceled IUI and Rowan, or the IVF, the transfer. Rowan's the baby that came out of it. So that whole process is probably somewhere around between 25 and 28.
Did you guys get to pick the sex?
Yes.
So you guys decided, okay,
Is that extra?
It is not.
It's
if you're
not.
doing
I was going to
genetic
say
testing.
everything's extra.
Oh, if you're doing
then
so
it is
it's included
extra.
in the genetic testing.
It's included in the genetic testing.
okay.
If you decide not to do genetic testing, I think they know, but oftentimes some people, the couples, make the decision to like just pick the best egg.
Yeah, like the healthiest egg.
egg, and like, we'll roll with it. That way they can still do a gender reveal if they want, all of that kind of stuff.
They tell you how many out of those 7 were male and female?
Yes. So I had more males than I had females.
Oh.
So I had 3 females and 4 males.
And so then, okay. So then you guys just said, how did you guys come to that decision of we're gonna have the girl?
So initially, I was really adamant of like, let's transfer the best one. Like, let's transfer the best one. It'll be fine. Jackie's like, let's see. let's see what the results are. And it ended up being that we had 2 embryos that were graded the same. 1 boy, 1 girl.
Oh, process of elimination.
Yeah. So we picked the girl.
Jackie won. Jackie won that round.
Yeah.
So when you were picking out your donors, did you guys ever think of going with someone you knew, or was it always a decision that we would go with a bank?
We talked about it, but we did not feel comfortable with it. Yeah. And it's just, I think the person that you would pick in that situation, you would have to be very, very close with. They would have to be very clear understanding, because you're not sharing parentage of the child,
right.
And it's a unique process.
Yeah.
And I think people who can make it work and have that relationship, it's wonderful. We didn't have one of those. And for both of us, having like the legal paperwork and all this stuff made us feel much more secure when picking a donor.
Yeah.
We did, however, pick a donor who, one of the criteria is it can be anonymous, or they can be available when the kid turns 18. Like if the contact information is the same, the kid can contact them. So we did want to have the possibility that if they were ever interested, that they could contact the donor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it came to that,
Would you guys do a bank or somebody you know?
The same situation as her. We don't have anyone that we feel comfortable with, because it is tricky, right? You had the baby, and then what if the person wants to?
Yeah.
We don't want to co-parent with anyone.
Right.
So we're doing the bank, and we signed up for the California Cryo bank. So after the honeymoon, that's my homework.
We want it to be your eggs.
Well, I read that it's more expensive that way.
Well, they did that too.
That way, it's more expensive for me to put my egg into.
Like right now, you're carrying Jackie's baby.
Yeah, like did it cost more?
Or no?
Not really.
Okay.
To doing the reciprocal IVF, the only thing that I think you would have to,
There's a name for it.
reciprocal IVF.
Reciprocal.
Yeah.
Reciprocal.
Because you're
It's more expensive though because you both have to be on medication. So
Yeah.
it's more
both on
expensive in that
medication,
sense.
and you
Okay.
both have to
But
do
because
testing.
And you both have to do testing, make sure there's no genetic anomalies between you and the donor.
Yeah.
You have to do your own genetic testing. But because you're married, it's a what was the reciprocal transfer. If you weren't married, they would call that a surrogate. And then they would charge
And it's
you
a lot more
surrogate
money.
fee.
Oh, okay. So that's probably what
Which is
people were
the BS.
telling me
Yeah.
was that part. Okay.
So
well,
the marriage is what solidifies it.
Okay, so if you are married, a married couple, then it's considered reciprocal IVF, and you are not charged extra. But if you are not married, and let's say you're just dating or you can't legally marry, then she's considered a surrogate for you.
Yeah, and there's sometimes surrogate fees. But circling back, like Jackie was mentioning, both have to be on medication.
Oh my God, what's
Which
that
is-
like?
I don't know. We didn't do it.
Oh, thank God.
At the same time, we didn't do it.
oh, you guys didn't do it at the same
No,
time.
because reciprocal IVF generally is, and you can do it a couple ways. You can do live transfer, which is you don't do genetic testing, and as soon as the eggs are harvested, fertilized, they get transferred into you. And then you are on medication at the same time. It kind of happens very quickly, no genetic testing, all of that stuff. Or you can kind of do what Jackie and I did, was Jackie went through IVF, I think in February of 2023. And then I did the transfer in July. So we spaced it out, right? But we still had to both be on medication. You also have to both do the testing. So
Okay.
genetic testing, other like physical testings. The receiving partner, who's ever going to be receiving the egg, has to do like, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a water test in your uterus to make sure, you have to get it all checked out. So, and all of these things have to happen with whomever is going to be carrying. So, yeah, I'm not sure. It's not significantly more money.
Okay, just a little bit more.
Just a little bit more.
Yeah, I
money.
mean, I would love to have her, I would love to see a little Ava running around, because I've always wanted that, even when I was young. But, you know, I just ultimately want her to carry, and I just want us to have another baby. I think that's a little less important than having a little Ava running around, if I'm being candid about it. But I think if I look at the cost and it makes sense and, you know, I can handle it, then I'll do it. I just don't know how I'll be on medication. I might be horrible.
Yeah. How was Jackie? Was she a raging bitch too?
No. See, my point of view.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Not your
This is
experience.
Amanda's
This is
point
my
of view.
This
This is when you.
Let me say one thing though. The medication's different because it's egg harvesting medication. So
Oh.
it's not also medication to prep your body.
So the
Okay,
prep,
let's
we were
let's
all
so it's
okay.
different.
Let's
different
be clear
medications.
because
Okay.
no one can hear you
Yeah, let's
in
say,
the background.
okay, let's
so
do
the
that.
prep medication is the estrogen and the progesterone, and that shit makes you crazy.
Okay, yeah, that I don't want that.
No, that's the prep medication.
Okay, then
for,
I'm fine.
For receipt. The other medication, it makes you emotional. Like you're very emotional.
Great.
So she was very emotional.
Yes, but also she can be emotional.
Yeah.
So,
she's
it was just like a
she's-
heightened.
She's a Taurus as well.
Yes.
Oh no, I'm a Cancer.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
I feel bad for you,
Our
Fernanda.
Rowan's a Cancer.
Cancer.
She's-
Yeah. When's her birthday?
July 20th.
I'm the 17th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's uncomfortable, right? Especially
Yeah.
with PCOS, like you have the potential to produce too many eggs, which puts a strain on your body, and you go a lot of bloating. So you have to really watch like your electrolytes and things like that. But actually, her egg retrieval, honestly, went as seamless as possible, and it was like 3 weeks. So I had been
Okay.
and that was the other thing too. I was like, I
Now-
went
now
through
you get mad.
almost a year and a half of bullshit.
Bullshit.
Bullshit of emotional,
Roller coaster.
a roller coaster. Thank you. It's like overwhelmingness, but and then you get 3 fucking weeks and it's perfect, and I'm like, this is ridiculous.
And now you have to suffer for 9 months.
Poor Jackie though. Jackie was probably getting cussed out every minute. Like if she'd walk into the room, she's like, "What the fuck are you staring at me for?" Oh,
Why
man,
is that
You
on the
did
floor?
this to me.
I cussed. You did this to me. This is your fault. Get out. Don't you have something to do in the garage? Does something need to
go-
get fixed?
go whittle some wood.
Go do something. The
Legitimate
light
whittle.
is out.
Like
Go
whittle
put a
wood.
light bulb in the
She
lamp.
just like starts to go in her cave of the garage, never
She's like,
coming
all
out.
right, all right.
Drinks whiskey every night.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, girl, I can't drink a thing. What are you doing?
She's eating the edibles quietly in the background.
Yeah.
Oh no.
We laugh about it, but it's serious.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
it was
I'm sure. Okay, so now we're gonna move to like you have the baby,
Yes.
and how does that work now? Because legally, through the
yeah.
process of having the IVF and all of that, you're doing it as a married couple. But what happens thereafter when the baby is born? Is she automatically both of yours? How does that work?
Yeah. So
This, I think that because a gay marriage is legal, this process should have been easier. And I think
Yeah.
I think that they need to figure that out because,
yeah. So it depends on the state.
yeah.
Okay.
Coming down to it, and then
Yeah.
actually we're very much aware because of how the election results turned out, and it's something that everybody should be aware of, especially gay couples. So in California, we are both on the birth certificate.
How did that happen? So when the baby was born, you guys were, or did you guys have to go through paperwork?
No, they were both on the birth certificate because we are married.
Oh.
So we had our marriage license, and in California, she is legally both Jackie and I.
Okay.
Well, I heard something so different. I heard that you would have the baby, and then you guys would have to like file paperwork.
No, that's the second parent adoption. That still has to happen.
Oh, so that you still have to go through.
Yes. So in California, for like legal disputes and things like that, because we're in California and she's on the birth certificate and we have the paperwork, because you sign paperwork too when
Yeah.
you're doing the IVF transfer that you're going into this together. Like,
Right.
I can't destroy the eggs without Jackie's consent or signing off on it, or the embryos without signing off on it.
Because you guys
Because we did it, we
50%
had in
own
the intent
own those
of
eggs.
doing
Okay.
it together. And so we're both on the birth certificate for California. So for all intents and purposes, in California, it's fine. Now, as soon as you go out of California, that's where it becomes the wild, wild west, depending on where you're going.
Okay.
Or if you're traveling out of the country.
Okay.
So up until this point, we've been able to get Rowan a passport, all of this stuff without doing the second parent adoption. Now, for security and safety reasons, depending on where we're going to go, or if we were to travel out of state that didn't recognize, surrogacy or, everything that's going on in Italy, same thing, we have to go through the second parent adoption.
So if you were to go to a country, let's just say the Middle East, because we all know the Middle. Not that we would ever go. I mean, I'm Persian. I wouldn't even go.
It's like,
right? Okay.
says the Persian.
Says the Persian. The Persian Muslim.
The Persian Muslim.
If you were to go to a country like the Middle East, even though she's on the birth certificate, it wouldn't matter, right?
It wouldn't matter.
That is wild.
Yeah, doesn't matter. And honestly, I don't even know that having our legal paperwork done would matter in the Middle East.
No, they don't care.
Yeah.
No.
Which is why we don't go there.
No,
Yeah.
I don't even. No, I don't think I don't know if we.
Which is why we're not leaving California.
Yeah.
So you basically, she has to go through adopting Rowan.
Yeah.
And
So
now,
we still have to do that.
You still have to do that.
So, I mean,
No, we don't. If we never left California and California laws stay the same, you don't have to do it.
but
Okay.
like ever.
If we go
like,
to a state that repeals things and then doesn't recognize, then the second parent adoption would still be legal federally in that state.
when I say leave California, I mean physically leave California. So travel, anything
you
like
don't
that.
mean like move
I
to
don't
another
mean
state.
move to
You
another
just
state.
mean
I
like
mean
we're
for
going on a
travel
trip.
purposes. Yeah, like if we're going to travel
shit.
somewhere,
Yeah.
you need to have all of that paperwork completed. Also, side note, you should absolutely have everything worked out and notarized for your medical directive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So before you travel,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So because we still need to do that, and we were trying to do it in December, but everything got a little crazy, and you have to pay. Technically, I think you can probably do the paperwork in California by yourself and file and do all that stuff. They do make it relatively easy in California, especially if you were married at the time of the birth. But because this one's due in April, we're just going to wait, hire a lawyer, do. I know. Our second one's due in April.
I hope it's April 21st.
Oh, you are a Taurus.
I do not.
I do.
She doesn't.
It's my birthday.
Well,
Yeah.
And it's between Jackie and I because we're only like 3 days apart.
I would love to
or
have
2 days apart.
another Taurus for sure, because this one's going to be an Aries. But
We don't know.
yeah.
the mom knows.
But I don't want to be pregnant for that long because my due date is April 16th. If I have
Oh,
to
you
go
could.
more.
No, she's trying to get it
You
out.
could go another couple days and make it to the
she doesn't want to.
21st.
I think if I was going to have a natural birth, probably, but I have to have
you
a
have a
C-section.
C-section.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, because I got preeclampsia the first time round.
Oh,
Yeah, which is like a whole other thing.
yeah.
Birthing experience. Going back to the second parent adoption, we're going to do that once the other one's born, and we'll just have it all done together.
Together.
Because in California, and we looked it up. Don't quote me on this. Please fact check it for
Okay.
sure. But because regardless of whose DNA it is, the birthing parent has the parental rights.
Really?
Yeah. So like even if we were to go out of state, like I would have the parental rights over both of the kids because I gave birth to them.
Interesting. That's interesting.
I'm curious to know too, like your, I mean, I have questions for Jackie, but like your connection to the baby, if it differs from your connection to Rowan, or like, is there anything that you feel is different
Besides the cravings.
besides the
Besides the
cravings
cravings.
and like nicotine
No,
needs?
no nicotine.
No nicotine.
She's not going through withdrawal. I would say for me, no,
Oh, okay.
at all. Because if we're being candid,
Uh-huh.
even when Rowan was born,
Uh-huh.
the first couple days until those pregnancy hormones like
Yeah.
really kick in and the attachments like doing weird things to your brain and you're like, give me my baby, I need to smell it. That happens not right away for some people. It didn't happen right away for me.
Yeah.
And so like we had this baby, I knew it came out of me. And I'm like, but you're kind of a stranger, dude. Like I don't really
Yeah.
know you. Like there wasn't this whole like, overwhelming love at first sight type thing that people
Right.
describe.
Right. Like, oh my God,
Yeah,
I'm
just
so
like
in
obsessed
love.
with you.
Yeah.
That happened to me 2 days later when the pregnancy hormones kicked, or the, postpartum hormones kicked in. And then I'm like obsessed with her, and then the anxiety kicks in, and like all of these things. But I think for me, it's the second time around is unique because we already have this like beautiful little human that we created, and I'm obsessed with her. And so this pregnancy is a lot less anxiety ridden. I don't have a lot of anxiety with this one, which makes it more enjoyable for that reason.
Yeah.
And she's definitely unique, in her patterns and things like that. She's way more active than I ever remember Rowan being, and just like, and seeing her little face and the ultrasounds and stuff. Like, it's different, but I feel my relationship with both of them will be similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
Which is why I wanted to birth both of them.
Yeah.
Because I wanted that same relationship with both
I think
my
it's
kids.
beautiful. Yeah. I think that's a beautiful experience because I think you, as the parent whose DNA it is, I feel like you will have your own unique connection to the baby, but then the person who's also giving birth to the child, also, it's your blood, it's your body that made her.
Yeah. And so I've talked to, other people about this, both straight people and not straight people. And they're like, is it weird carrying Jackie's eggs? And I'm like, no, dude. Like, when you get pregnant, it's 50% of your husband. Like, you're carrying your husband's kid. It's the same thing to me. It's absolutely the same thing. I made her bones.
Yeah, you're
I made her
making her.
brain.
Yeah.
Like, everything. Like, I made everything about this child.
So crazy that your DNA wouldn't be in her.
That's the crazy part.
That's the wild part to me.
Yeah. Science
I
is
still
crazy.
feel like I'm probably, maybe not like genetic influence,
No,
but I'm
but for
definitely going
sure
to have
an
like
influence. 100%.
Of course, of course.
100%. But it's just crazy to me that your body's making her, yet she doesn't carry any of your DNA.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think that
body's
there's
incredible.
I still think that they're gonna come up with a way for two women to have a child without like with both of your DNAs. Well, two same-sex people, but yeah.
I think they're definitely working on it.
I think there's something.
some
Yeah.
progress
Now,
in that
can you do
area.
it without sperm? I don't know.
No, you need the sperm.
I don't know. I bet you there'll be a way that they can do it.
How?
I don't know. Maybe they'll just
scientist.
make a baby in a petri dish.
They do that now.
I
They
mean,
do. They do
yeah,
that.
but I mean, like full. I mean, I would totally be up for that. So that way I don't have to carry because I don't want to have to
Just
carry.
like from a blood sample.
yeah,
You're
like
make
take my
this
blood.
baby.
I don't even want to donate, like not donate, but take my eggs out. Like
take
just
your
that
partner's eggs out.
process makes me.
Your partner. That's what you have a partner for. It's not
Yeah, but
just
what
you.
if my partner can't donate eggs, or my partner's older? Because I like older women,
Then get
and
a
then they don't
surrogate.
have eggs, and
So what skeeves you out about the process?
nothing's been in, nothing's coming out.
She's ridiculous. She's ridiculous. Don't pay her any mind.
Nope, not having my huevitos taken out. I'm not having anything going in. No wand. No tools. No.
You don't have.
No doctor hands.
No doctor
nothing.
hands. No reaching in there and pulling them out. No.
They
Why?
suction them out, actually.
They
Suction.
Why?
That sounds horrible.
Why?
It's not great.
Why?
See, she can tell you it's not great.
Jackie
I mean,
was fine.
you had the best night of your life.
You go in, you go under anesthesia, they pull them out, you sit at home, you eat McDonald's.
Yeah,
watch
but
Netflix
but
for
it's
a day, and then it's done.
but the process to get to that point. It's not about me being put under, because you will definitely have to put me under. But I'm talking about just the gynecological experience of it all, like going through.
I will say being wand is not a pleasurable
Yeah, like
experience.
all of that, like-
the wand ultrasound is horrible and invasive, and no matter how nice your fertility doctor is, you're still like,
Yeah.
I don't know you like that.
No, and I have to literally prepare myself just to go to the gynecologist.
I mean, it's just interesting.
like mentally.
Yeah. You just have to do that, for a short period, multiple times.
Is being a mother everything you hoped it would be?
Yes. And it is so much harder than I ever thought it was going to be. Honestly,
can
it's
imagine.
like, for me, the best and worst thing that's ever happened to me simultaneously.
at the same time.
Simultaneously. I can't describe to you well enough how much I love Rowan, our girl. She's perfect and special and magical and all the things. But then you go through this process of going from an individual, which, like, even if you're married, especially if you're married later in life, like, you're an individual. Like, you take care of yourself, you do your own thing, whatever. And to now you're a unit. And you're tired all the time. And just, you know, the selfishness that you did have really just gets beaten out of you. And, like...
Beaten.
Yeah. I mean, not physically, but
No,
definitely
I know,
get
but
beaten down by it.
metaphorically, yeah.
And, you know, developing patience. I was like, patience is a virtue.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand what you had to go through to become patient. Yeah, you know, developing just like the patience and the grace to give yourself grace, give your kid grace, give your partner grace.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, come back to, and this is really what I live by, is like, we're doing our best. We're doing our best every day. And I think that's hopefully what most parents are doing.
Yeah.
And you're giving your best.
Yeah.
But it is truly wonderful, but also terrible.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being our
welcome.
first guest.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you.
Our first guest on our show. I don't think it's going to play the clapping, but we'll play
Right.
clapping.
Clapping.
Yay.
I don't think that's the clapping.
We'll just make, it says applause right here.
I think you're pushing a bunch of different buttons now.
Boop, boop, beep, boop.
It's more editing for me. Thank you for being on with us.
Yes,
and,
thank you very much.
We appreciate all the information. I'm sure our listeners will appreciate listening and hearing and watching all of this and kind of gathering their information, writing their notes down.
Yeah, I did. I appreciated it.
I know Ava's going to go home with her little report
Yes.
and report back
I
to
am.
her wife.
I am. And hopefully it makes the process a little easier.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So next we're going to have Jackie in the hot seat to talk to us a little bit about her perspective and point of view on
Being the baby mama.
being the baby mama.
Being the baby mama.
So thank you so much for watching, guys. You can watch the next half of this episode next week. We're going to do a 2-part series. So yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe, leave us a comment, send us your ideas, all that good stuff. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yep. Later, booze. Thank you so much for listening to Les Say More, a podcast brought to you by myself, Solange Aurelio, Aba Mozaffari, and produced by Rosella Testa. Video and audio edited by myself as well, Solange Aurelio.